Hi, welcome to movie theater. Imagine living in a world where being single is illegal, and if you don't find a partner in 45 days, they turn you into a lobster. That's the plot of the movie, no cap. So let's find out what this lobster movie is about. It starts off super weird with a woman driving out to some field and clapping a horse. I hope that horse wasn't once human. Anyway, the next scene shows a dude whose life is falling apart because his wife has just cheated on him with another man. Shortly after, he's escorted into a windowless van. At his destination, he undergoes an odd interview that feels like applying for a job at Tinder. David is quite handsome, although I'm not sure what this whole business is about. The receptionist sounds pleasant, so whatever is going on at this hotel can't be nice. Apparently, making it through hunting means you can't take any personal belongings. So, by my deduction, this could be some kind of Hunger Games-esque romantic thing. Everything is just super weird, including the roomies outside the window. David sees unconscious bodies on the ground. These are loners who were captured by the hotel's guests. Anyway, the next morning, the hotel manager comes to debrief our guy. It turns out that if you don't fall in love with someone within your 45-day stay at the hotel, you'll be turned into an animal. For whatever reason, David is there and he chooses to become a lobster should he end up a loner. He says they live long, are blue-blooded like aristocrats and stay fertile all their lives. The hotel manager's response makes me so uneasy. First she congratulates him for picking an unusual animal and then she says most people choose dogs, which is why the world is full of them. Few people choose rare animals, which is why many of them are endangered. Guess what? The dog our guy has is his brother Bob, who was once a guest at the hotel. This is also pretty weird. Before the hotel manager and her entourage leave, they cuff one of David's hands to remind him why two is better than one. The next day, David goes to the restaurant for breakfast. The dining area is split into two parts. One side for couples and the other for single Pringles like our guy. How much more classist can you get? Right at the dining area he meets two guys. John with a limp and Robert with a lisp, like our guy. John still has one of his hands cuffed to his back while Robert has both hands free, so I guess David and John are both fresh meat. Later that day there's an assembly for all the guests at the hotel where new guests get to share their story of what brought them in, and then there's a dance at night. During the dance David walks up to this lady who always gets irritating nosebleeds and asks her for a dance. She obliged and instantly began to sprinkle blood on his white shirt. Then she went on to list various techniques of removing blood from a shirt in a very robotic voice. I think she might have been a murderer in her past life. Suddenly, an alarm rang out. It was time for the hunt. All the guests were sent to the woods with tranquilizers to hunt down the loners who had a settlement there. For every loner each guest captured, they were granted an extra day at the hotel. As expected, everyone started to sprint into the woods, hoping to capture at least one loner. Can you imagine if that happened in real life? So many people would be hunted down on day one. At the end of the hunting session, David wasn't able to capture any loners and so his number of days at the hotel stayed unchanged. The hotel had some peculiar regulations too. For example, having your hand as a girlfriend was not allowed but guests were supposed to be clapped by the hotel medics and they could not refuse. I'm not making this up. The hotel manager says it's supposed to motivate you to find a partner better, but how does that even make sense? Well, I kind of understand the idea. But what happens if you break the rules and become really close friends with your right hand? They fry your hand in a toaster oven. Is this purgatory or something? One night they go hunting and David sits next to this woman who looks butter biscuits. She seems to be interested in him and offers some Susie favors, but David turns her down with Sigma male music and facial expressions. The lady is desperate though. Her time in the hotel is running out and she hasn't found any loners nor a maid. She declares that if she doesn't get herself a mate soon she'll jump out of her room window and clap herself, not in the fun way. One day at the pool John meets the girl with the nosebleeds. He has a thing for her and tries to make her acquaintance with a trick up his sleeve so she fancies him too. John and his nosebleed girlfriend are announced as a couple at one of the hotel's dances. The psycho hit his head so they could both have something in common, and the girl could vibe with him, so they could become a couple. Although other options may not be great, it is still a bit psycho. What if she finds out he's lying? Anyway, they will first move to the couple's quarters for 2 weeks, then to a yacht for another 2 weeks. After that, they might return as a couple. However, the hotel manager announces that their relationship will be monitored. Not only is this weird for the psycho hotel, but she also states that if any problems arise, the couple will be assigned children, which has never really helped any family marriages. No disrespect to cats, but they have ruined even happy marriages more times than they've helped failing ones. Pretty sure that's what I did to my mom and dad, which is why dad left for milk. Of course, it's not that the kids are bad, but if two people can't agree, bringing kids into the mix won't make them friends. It will only make things worse and the kids will suffer in the end. Alright, therapy session over. Meanwhile, David is staying at a hotel and counting down the days until he takes his chances with one of the ladies at the facility, the one everyone calls the heartless one. The self-deletion of the Butter Biscuits woman gives him the perfect opportunity. He tells her that he hopes the Butter Biscuits woman dies slowly and pathetically, which piques her curiosity, and she invites David to have a chat with her later on. One day at the jacuzzi, David starts talking to her, although it isn't much of a conversation because she mostly ignores him and chews on her olives. She puts an olive in her mouth and begins to choke, but David looks on like nothing is happening until she's seemingly his rib and piece. Before David could even utter a word, it turns out the woman was only testing him. Unmoved by her fake death, she declared them a match and they began their month-long romantic trial. This courtship was the most formal anyone had seen. It was so mechanical and robotic, like everyone in the hotel had a similar quirk. It wasn't too obvious, almost like Mark Zuckerberg. One morning, she woke him up with some terrible news, that she had killed his brother in a slow and painful way. She was completely crazy, leaving the dog lying in a pool of spaghetti juice in the bathroom. When David saw all this, he showed all those emotions he had been hiding, confirming her suspicions that he was indeed the heartless psychopath he claimed to be. She then proceeded to report him to the hotel manager for fraud, a crime for which he would be turned into an animal. No one wants to be in the manager's office with the heartless woman, but David manages to break free and escapes. He then teams up with a hotel maid to turn Arlo's woman into an unspecified animal. Does she like working for David? We'll find out soon enough. After dealing with the heartless woman, David flees from the hotel and into the woods to live as a loner. He joins the loner community, which has its own set of rules. There is no limit on how long one can stay, but loners are not allowed to have romantic relationships or even flirt with one another. Punishments for anyone who tries are creative and inventive, from the red kiss to the red saucy time. On his first day in the woods, David catches the attention of a woman who is also short-sighted like him, Trouble. Meanwhile, in the woods, David finds Robert doing his hunting rounds. With only 2 days remaining, Robert is determined to capture David's friend. While David is still pleading his case, the short-sighted girl shoots Robert from behind, sparking a secret and risky relationship between them. Oh, and remember that maid who helped David. Turns out she's actually a mole for the loners and they are planning some big covert operation to sabotage the hotel. Now back to David and his secret girlfriend. One day they go out on a secret mission where they have to pretend to be husband and wife. It's fun for them, but the leader of the loner community starts to suspect that something is up when they're having too much fun with it. This could definitely land them in trouble when they return from their undercover mission, so let's wait and see. On the day of the learners' operation, each one is assigned different rooms to tranquilize gods. David was assigned to the yacht, so he could attend to his friend John when he arrived. However, when he got to John's room, David spilled his secret to John's partner, leaving the couple to deal with the aftermath of their already strained relationship. At the hotel manager's room, the leader of the learners got the hotel manager's husband to pull his gun on her. Luckily it wasn't loaded, but now they had to face the fact that he would have shot her if it had been. It was a surefire recipe for divorce. This is what David's mission was: destroying any couple and creating more loners. Back in the woods, David's relationship with his secret girlfriend was getting stronger. They even danced together one day and clapped. This community was quite lenient with its rules, but David and his girlfriend knew they still had to be careful. They developed gestural codes for communication while in public, but love can make you do stupid things. On an undercover mission, they ended up getting close in front of everyone. It's the most ridiculous action ever and it puts the leader in the spotlight. One day, the leader of the loners discovers David's girlfriend's journal, which details their intentions of leaving the community and beginning a new life in the city. After finding out, she orders David to dig his own grave. Don't worry, this is something all members of the community have to do, not a punishment, which is still pretty strange. I just thought you should know. The leader isn't finished with her plans yet. The next day she takes David's girlfriend to a doctor in the city claiming it will help her fix her short-sightedness, but surprise, it's actually an operation to make her blind. When they return to the woods, David's now blind girlfriend tells him that their leader was responsible for her blindness. Unfortunate. Nevertheless, they continue their relationship in secret, but things become strained since they no longer share short-sightedness. David comes up with a plan to guarantee they stay together forever. One evening, David overpowers their leader and throws her into a shallow grave for the wild dogs to feast on. Meanwhile, he grabs his girlfriend and they make their way to the city, despite her being blind and him wearing ill-fitting trousers. Once in the city, they stop at a restaurant where David orders a steak knife. What he wants to do next is quite strange. He wants to blind himself so they have something in common. Thankfully, they don't show David gouging out his eyes. Nobody wants to see that. Who wrote this film and why? The moral of the story is that though he just needs to find the right time, it eventually comes, but maybe not in the way you expect. Hit the like button if you have enjoyed watching this video and don't forget to subscribe our channel for more videos. Thanks for watching.